Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, online game Doomsday. I became an NPC. Chapter 21. There is a wheelchair in the small mansion. The hostess was disabled before she mutated into a zombie. I was quite frightened when I came in. While Stark City Stark was speaking, he dragged the Voldemort zombie out of the door. After entering the small western building, everyone found a place to sit down and rest. In the battle just now, with the exception of Psychisuke, the rest of them exhausted a lot of energy. Wulianzi shared some information about tasks, task rewards, and upgrades. After some conversation, his physical strength has almost replenished. I sat up with a third-level head and habitually rummaged through the house. Entering a building in the game, he doesn't search for things, a bit uncomfortable. But after wandering around for a long time, I didn't get anything useful. Don't look for it. In terms of the ability to search houses and pick up trash, Stark is a professional, so why would he leave things for you? Psychisuke glanced at the large mountaineering bag bulging on the ground by Stark of Star City. Prodigal's Away followed Psychisuke's eyes to look over, curiosity drove him to mention it. 0% negative feedback, no effort. But when he put the backpack on his shoulders, he was stunned. The movement speed in the status bar has dropped from 12 o'clock to 7 o'clock. With such a heavy load, what is in it? There are a lot of miscellaneous tools inside, so it's a bit heavy. Stark couldn't help smiling when he saw the stunned look of Prodigal's Away. I put on this backpack and wear all the equipment, and the movement speed will drop to only 4 points. E-level zombies can't run. I'm having a headache about how to run this running map. Fortunately, you are here. Quote. Run map. Prodigal's Away and the others were a little puzzled, and looked at Psychisuke in unison. You can understand it as making a vision and lighting up the map in the hero. The main purpose of the running map in the last day's survival game is to investigate the distribution of resources, so as to facilitate the selection of a good address to settle down. Quote. Shiifu explained while looking at Star City Stark and said, "This is a game that needs to be opened up from scratch. There is no need to run the map from the beginning. It is easy to get stuck on the road. Preliminary work such as running the map is necessary and can save a lot of trouble in the future." Star City Stark responded. Ah, then will all the gamers explode if they hang up their equipment? Prodigal's Away asked in a low voice. Star City Stark was stunned. All explosions, no one left. Shiifu nodded. This is the death penalty discovered so far, and the possibility of losing experience and levels in the future cannot be ruled out. I'm ashamed. This Dogecoin game planner is simply not a human being. Stark couldn't help complaining. In this case, I can only run around naked, but it will be more dangerous. Let's put down your job of running pictures first. Shiifu waved his hand and said, in a completely unknown world, you have to be careful when picking up trees and resources. You can't Krypton gold and buy materials from other players. Even if you worked hard to figure out the map of this city, you don't have the materials to develop and build a house. Star City Stark took a deep breath. Psychisuke really hit the mark. The end of the world games he played in the past, he has a plan in his heart, and there is no danger in how to collect resources and where to collect resources. And true end times is full of unknown dangers, he is like a headless chicken. Maybe after passing a corner, a little monster has to let him GG. What's more, this game is full of death. Under this setting, there is still a ghost material. Shinwa Psychisuke said that even if he ran the map and found an excellent location for his home, he would not have the materials to build his home at all. It can only be upgraded first, and slowly collect resources. Star City Stark took a deep breath, picked up the mountaineering bag and prepared to go out. Take me to the resurrection point. Wulian sat in front and led the way, Stark followed behind slowly. By the way, there are more than 100 zombies at the entrance of the community. I thought it would be faster to deal with them together after I received you, so I didn't fight first. Shiifu turned back and reminded. Are they all zombies of this strength? Shiisuke nodded. That's no problem. I'll put down my backpack and hit it later. It won't take long to kill it. Star City Stark glanced at his status bar and said, are there any props to restore stamina? I'm a little worried that I won't have enough stamina halfway through the fight. Upon hearing this, Shiifu threw a bottle of energy drink over. Increase the recovery speed of health and physical strength, not bad. Stark took a look at the item introduction, and drank the energy drink in one gulp. Looking at the puzzled eyes of Prodigals Away and the others, Star City Stark explained with a smile, "The community is just ahead, and this persistent buff item is just right to use now." But your blood bar is full. Prodigals Away asked doubtfully. 50 copper props are used like this, it always feels a bit wasteful. He mainly uses it to maintain his physical strength. It may be a bit wasteful to use it on us, but for him, it is definitely the best use. Shiyifu saw scattered zombies appeared in front of him, turned his head and continued. "The team has already pulled you, why don't you join us when you open the monster later? I'll go pull this kind of low-level zombies first, and you can pack them up from the side later." Star City Stark put down all the equipment such as the mountaineering bag, the electric shock rod, the explosion-proof shield, and only took out a small hammer from the backpack and rushed forward. Small hammer. Quality: white ordinary. Physical attack power: 5 to 7. Durability: 8/8. A small hammer is a household tool, and its attack power is not as good as the steel bars picked up in the ruins. But this thing is better than being light, and it doesn't even slow down its movement speed even if it is stored in the hand. Star City Stark took a small hammer and rushed forward at full speed. There was also a lot of noise on the way forward. Running all the way, even a large number of zombies at the entrance of the community were attracted by him. With so many zombies, can he handle it? Prodigals Away watched a large group of zombies walking towards Star City Stark, and couldn't help feeling worried. It's true that Stark is the master of the end-time game, but what he controls now is only the initial game character. In comparison, this initial character is weaker than all of them. Is it really possible to pull so many zombies? No problem, this guy has killed more zombies than anyone we've ever seen. If he wasn't sure, he wouldn't have rushed over like this. Shiyisuke responded very calmly. Next, it really became Star City Stark's personal show time. Stark City Stark wandered among the zombies, and the small hammer hit the heads of the zombies again and again. Open black lens bracket -66 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket -67 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket -66 close black lens bracket. With an attack power of 5 to 7, the small hammer almost hit full damage in his hands. A small hammer, Stark City Stark can use it to harvest zombies. During the attack, Star City Stark also maintained a good position, using the movement speed much higher than that of zombies. Pull and fly a kite. Not to mention biting him, the zombies couldn't even touch the hem of his clothes. Just a minute, Stark City Stark knocked out more than 20 zombies with a small hammer. This series of operations directly made the Prodigals Away and the others look stupid. It seems that the efficiency of spawning monsters by 5 of them is not as fast as Stark in Star City alone. This guy has a nickname called Zombie Killer. As long as his weapon has enough attack power, basically no zombie can survive a round in his hands. But uninterrupted attacks, running positions, and various extreme operations like this require a lot of personal attention, and the physical strength of the game characters can withstand it. Now you should know why he drank energy drinks in advance. Saikisuke was explaining while observing the battlefield. It's almost there. Let's make up the knife from the side without too much danger. Confirming that the timing is good, Shiyifu beckoned them to attack the side of the zombie group. Wu Lianzi entered the arena and cooperated with Star City Stark, and the speed of clearing zombies rose again. Nearly 200 zombies were all killed by them in less than half an hour. I kind of know why you insist on waiting for this great god to join before opening this wave of monsters. The Prodigals Away took a deep breath, shook his head and sighed. They came to clean up this wave of zombies, not to mention the double time, injuries are almost inevitable. If there is a mistake in positioning, even the group may be wiped out. But now, with Star City Stark, it's only half an hour. Nearly 200 zombies were wiped out without injury. Except for Shiyisuke, who had a friendship with Stark in Wulianzuo, the rest of them instantly became fanboys. They have already called Stark the god of K. Shout in unison, Destiny Niubi. Stark waved his hand and said modestly, "It's okay, I can't stand more zombies." Now I only have 10% of my physical strength left, all attributes have been reduced, and there is still a slight dizziness displayed in the status bar. If there are more than a dozen zombies, I guess I will have to kneel down. Quote. As soon as Stark of Star City finished speaking, the can of energy drink left by Wu Lianzuo was immediately thrown over by prodigals away. Drink whatever you want. It is a waste to use this prop on them. Star City Stark was also polite, drinking an energy drink, and asked, how's the situation in the community? How many zombies are there? I can only confirm that there are not many zombies from the entrance of the community to the residential building where we set the resurrection point. Other locations are not known. Quote, Shi Yifu thought for a while, and suggested, let's go back to the resurrection point first to recover. After staying outside for a long time, it is inevitable that an unknown apocalyptic creature will pop up. Wu Lianzuo helped pick up Stark's mountaineering bag and equipment, and headed to the resurrection point. In a 2-unit residential building, half of the zombies below the 15th floor were killed by Wu Lianzuo, and the other half were pulled out and killed along the way, unimpeded. This is your resurrection point. After reaching the 15th floor, Star City Stark looked around and asked, did you do this obstacle and entrance defense? The obstacles in the corridor are temporarily piled up. I thought about the card position to brush zombies. Shi Yifu replied. As for the protection at the entrance of this aisle, it was there when we came here, it should be made by the NPC inside. NPC made it. Stark of Star City smacked his mouth, stepped forward and shook the entrance guard. It's too rough. Not only rough but also loose. Anti-zombie depends on luck. Stark City Stark shook his head, then took a step back. Then, kick it out. There was a loud bang. Stark kicked over the entrance guard made by Joe. The entrance protection collapsed, and dust filled the corridor entrance on the 15th floor. When Wu Lianzuo saw the situation in front of him, he was instantly stunned. Brother, what have you done? You. Why did you kick the aisle guard? Saikisuke asked with wide-eyed eyes. Why keep the rough and rotten protection? Stark revealed a puzzled look, and asked back, if there is a slightly stronger zombie, isn't this stuff like paper? Then you don't need to push this thing away. The NPC inside is very irritable. Prodigals away, who was headshot by a crossbow arrow from Joe Zekwon before, said with lingering fear. Click to accept. I'll pull you to my resurrection point. If it's too late, it's too late. Shi Yifu urged. Are you afraid that NPCs will trouble me? Stark smiled. I pushed this protection, so naturally I have to. Stark was talking, when suddenly a crossbow bolt brushed across his cheek and nailed to the wall in front of him. There is blood running from the cheeks. The door of room 1501 has been opened. Joe Zekwon, who was awakened, came out holding a crossbow. He's really confused now. He also played many games before crossing, and met many players with liver level, liver equipment, liver unlock characters. There are also those who are keen on PvP and find other players to fight every day. But he has never seen someone who likes to trouble NPCs so much. The previous group of people brought hundreds of zombies to block his door, so forget it. Now that a new player came, what kind of trouble would it be to dismantle the defense he had so hard to complete as soon as he came up? This is simply the worst fourth natural disaster I have ever seen. Call out, call out, call out. The angry Joe Zekwon started shooting at the players. The target is their limbs. Knowing that these guys could be revived painlessly, Joe Zekwon decided not to kill them. Instead, I intend to nail them all to the wall and torture them slowly. Stark reacted quickly, and after the crossbow arrow rubbed against his cheek, he quickly found a cover and hid. Wu Lian sat here knowing that this would happen, and when he saw Joe Zekwon again, he immediately ran away. Unfortunately, only 4 of them were lucky enough to escape. There was only one person left, whose thigh was nailed to the wall by Joe Zekwon. I vomited. Last time I shot my head, this time nailed my thigh again. Is this NPC targeting me? Prodigals Away revealed his painful mask face and shouted. He feels no pain feedback. But he couldn't bear this grievance, he had to howl twice. In the corridor, Star City Stark, who was hiding behind the bunker, was also a little confused at the moment. He took a deep breath, looked at Shi Yifu and asked, in this game, do NPCs from the same faction also kill players? Saichisuk nodded. If he is tricked, he will do it directly. Then how did you accept the mission before? When you don't provoke him, you can still take the task normally. Shiifu supported his forehead and said, so, why did you kick his protection? It's demolished, so I can make a new one. Stark frowned and said, this NPC's protection is really not good. Then what do we do now? How did you get him to stop attacking last time? I don't know the exact reason, but after the prodigals away was shot by him, he let us go. That's easy, he's already nailed to the wall, just ask him to send another wave. Prodigals away. The prodigal son Weirin, who heard the team's voice, was dumbfounded. Shouldn't we try to save him in this situation? Just let me send. What the hell? No, the hatred of this NPC seems to be gone. He didn't continue to attack me. Prodigals away looked at Joe Zekwan, who put down his crossbow in front of him and said in surprise. You guys can come out now. The NPC has already shown that it can accept the mission. Prodigals away shouted a few words in succession, but the rest of the team kept hiding behind the bunker. Prodigals away. Joe Zekwan couldn't help being amused watching this scene. None of his teammates seemed to believe him very much. Come out if you're hiding outside. Joe Zekwan shouted towards the corridor, if you don't come out now, you won't be able to appear in front of my eyes in the future. As soon as Joe Zekwan finished speaking, Saikisuke came out of the corridor with an awkward smile. Hey, aren't you afraid that this NPC will trick you? Stark behind him shouted in the voice of the team. Didn't I tell you, this game has NPC favorability, and if you don't come out and turn yourself in, it's really possible to be blacklisted by the old man in Shinsho village. Shiifu responded. This is currently the only NPC. It has been included in his blacklist. There will be no quests in the short term. Okay. Stark dropped the fruit knife. He didn't know what was in his hand. When he was about to talk to Wu Lianzuo through this NPC, he was stabbed to death with a flying knife. Fortunately, Shiifu persuaded him, otherwise this Doomsday game master would not have any good gaming experience in the future. After the 6-member team came out and surrendered themselves, Joe Zekwan swept across their faces one by one. Then, he fixed his eyes on Stark's face. Do you have a certain understanding of architecture? Is Joe Zekwan angry at being tricked by a player? Of course I was angry, and very angry. The furious Joe Zekwan is ready to torture such a troublesome player. However, a system prompt suddenly appeared in his mind, which made him dispel this idea. Open black lens bracket. Collected new mission information. Close black lens bracket. The host can now release new tasks. The iron wall is impregnable. ... Bronze wall and iron wall. Personal. Prerequisites. Architecture introduction as required. Task requirements. Build a protective door on the floor where the NPC lives that can resist the attack of E-level elite zombies. Difficulty rating D. Task reward. Unlock the grass wall construction. Reward 10 silver. ... The new D-level mission can be released, which means that he can earn another 50 points. Although he wanted to vent some anger in his heart, he would not make things difficult for the host. If you are really angry, you must torture these players, and you have to wait for them to complete the task. Let me finish the work first. Joe Zekwan noticed that this new mission has a pre-quest. He naturally set his sights on new players. Do you have a certain understanding of architecture? Stark was taken aback by the question. How did this NPC know? In order to build a perfect shelter in the end-time game, Star City Stark has studied all books related to architecture. He even has deeper theoretical knowledge than many engineers. However, most of his practice is in the game, and the shelter he built out of the garage. He has never done a really big project. In terms of architecture, I should be considered a beginner. Star City Stark replied honestly. It really is you. Joe Zekwan raised his eyebrows and questioned, tell me, why did you take down the protection I made? It was you who did such rubbish. Cough. Shiifu on the side coughed twice quickly, signaling him to speak in a high EQ way. I think there is still room for improvement in the protection you made, so I want to help you dismantle and reinforce it. Star City Stark put on a smile that he thought was very sincere. Joe Zekwan was quite satisfied with this answer. The defense he built at random may really have a lot of room for improvement in the eyes of people who have studied architecture. In this case, you can help me build a protective door here. Joe Zekwon appointed Stark of Star City and issued him a mission. Mission: Bronze Wall and Iron Wall. Accept, reject. Task: Clear threat. Accept, reject. By the way, Joe Zekwon announced to Stark City Stark that the 5 consecutive sittings had completed the remove threat task. Star City Stark can bring Joe Zekwon 100 points by completing these 2 tasks alone. Star City Stark had received a lot of game information from Wu Lianzi before, and clicked to accept without hesitation. What about you? Did you bring the materials you collected? After Joe Zekwon issued the mission to Stark City Stark, he looked at Wu Lianzi next to him. Prodigals away slapped his head. Oh no. I had so much fun killing, I forgot to search for food. The same goes for the other 4. Without deliberate attention, the food is basically indifferent to them. I have a bag of rice here, I don't know if it's enough. Stark dug out a bag from his backpack. You picked up the rice too. I said, why is this backpack so heavy? Prodigals away muttered softly. After the rice passed, Shi Yisuk handed it over to Joe Zekwon, and the system prompted that only 8.5 kilograms was not enough to complete the task. Not enough, you keep searching. Joe Zekwon looked at Wu Lianzuo and said, also, don't look far away, this building hasn't been cleaned yet, don't run around like that. Star City Stark on the side once again felt how down to earth the NPCs in this game are. After some communication, the 6-member team separated again. Joe Zekwon returned to his room after posting the task. After a few hours of sleep, he was already awake a lot. 5D level tasks were settled before, and now there are 251 points. Joe Zekwon thought for a while, and said to himself, it's better to continue to exchange the Book of Life to increase the value of life. Saving life first is more important than anything else. Redeeming the Book of Life can be said to be 10 points for a little physical fitness. After eating 20 books, the system gave a prompt. The host's physique has reached the limit of ordinary humans, and continuing to read the Book of Life will not bring about any improvement. Are you sure you want to exchange it? Physical to the limit of ordinary humans. Joe Zekwon glanced at his personal information, frowned and said, isn't it only 60 points? Can't the player's attribute be raised to 60 points and can't continue to go down? The player's body is constructed by the system and belongs to a perfect genetic human. Joe Zekwon finally understood. As long as you are a player, the upper limit is higher than him. Then how can I continue to improve? Joe Zekwon asked patiently. After waiting for 2 seconds, the system gave several options. 1. Take the perfect gene medicine. 2. Fusion G virus. 3. Awakening abilities. Achievable by learning online game skills. 4. Change race. 5. Fusion bloodline. 6. Cultivating immortal cultivation techniques. 7. The system listed hundreds of ways for Joe Zekwon to break through the limits of ordinary humans. 2/3 of it is to let him stop being a human being. As long as Joe Zekwon is willing, the system can immediately help him convert into any alien race in this last days. And the first conversion is free. Joe Zekwon, who learned some information about other races through the system, was a little tempted at first. The alien races in this world are really strong. But even if he can change back after switching races, he will no longer be his original self. It is equivalent to wearing the soul twice. Joe Zekwon still attaches great importance to his body. Even if this body is mutated, he doesn't want to directly transfer his soul to other bodies. I have pondered over hundreds of ways to break through the upper limit several times. Joe Zekwon has temporarily determined his upgrade route. The first, the cheapest and easiest way is to upgrade the weapon level, and then learn online game skills to break through yourself. The second one is the genetic potion. This thing can not only increase the upper limit of attributes but also make his attributes skyrocket immediately. The third one is the bloodline, which is equivalent to the upgraded version of the first two. A double harvest of skills and attributes. The ultimate goal is to cultivate immortal skills. The reason why the cultivation of immortals is the ultimate goal is very simple. It is too expensive to redeem points. Even a book on the most basic Qigong method requires 7-figure points. If he wants to embark on the road of cultivating immortals, the real end times game must be popular all over the world. After clearing his mind, Joe Zekwan continued to use points to upgrade his attributes. 251 points were used up, and his personal information was refreshed again. Constitution, 40 right pointing arrow 60. Strength, 20 right pointing arrow 25. HP, 400 right pointing arrow 600. Physical attack power, 3 to 3 right pointing arrow 3 to 4 empty hand. Before it's dark, you can go outside to gain some experience. Joe Zechuan's current knife level is LV10. You can learn some basic skills, but it has no effect on raising the upper limit of physical attributes. Therefore, his NPC still has to be the same as other players. Moving on to liver grades. I don't have much experience in killing E-level zombies, but for the safety of my life, it's better to hang around in this area. Holding a bayonet, Joe Zekwan walked out of room 1501. At this time, Star City Stark was rattling at the entrance of the aisle. Have you made the frame so quickly? Joe Zekwan stepped forward to have a look and was greatly surprised. It's just the frame of a protective door. It doesn't take much effort. Stark looked up at Joe Zekwan, smashed it and said, I can make a protective door quickly, but there are no good materials here, and it is difficult to reach the level that can protect against the attack of E-level elite zombies. Joe Zekwan paused when he heard that, and opened his host mall. There are better building materials inside. But the cheapest alloy bricks cost 1 point. Not to mention these players, even Joe Zekwan himself was reluctant to use them. Is there a building materials market near here? I can go to the building materials market to find materials, and do the task of cleaning up the zombies by the way. Stark asked. A perfect AI NPC should be able to ask a lot of useful information, right? The building materials market. Go out from the south gate of the community and walk 2 kilometers southeast. Joe Zekwan looked at the sky and replied, but I advise you not to go too far at this time, or you may not be able to come back. Can't come back. Is there any danger if it's too late? Star City Stark couldn't help thinking. Then, what are you going to do now? Stark of Star City found that Joe Zekwan was fully armed, and it was obvious that he was about to go out. Joe Zekwan smiled and responded, you think I'm going out? I'm still afraid of death. I'll wander around the building and clean up the remaining zombies. Before dark, I must have been in my room. Quote, sure enough, will something appear in the dark? Stark put down his work and followed Joe Zekwan to clean up the zombies in the residential building. While killing monsters, Star City Stark managed to find some usable materials. By the way, where are your companions? On the way to clear the building, Joe Zekwan found that the number of people online in real end times had returned to 1. It should be 8 hours and they are offline. Star City Stark is also the same as Shi Yisuk before him. The sense of substitution is so strong that Joe Zekwan is completely taken as a real person. Only after answering did he realize, this NPC probably wouldn't understand what he was talking about. Sure enough, Joe Zekwan asked again as if he hadn't heard anything. By the way, where are your companions? He is a dedicated NPC who keeps himself in character. Maybe out of the community, I'm not sure. Stark City Stark changed his answer and got Joe Zechuan's response immediately. It's not a wise choice to go out at this time. Joe Zekwan took a deep breath and said, it's getting dark, let's go back to the house quickly, remember, pull up the curtains, and don't have any obvious light sources. Hearing what Joe Zekwan said, Stark became even more curious. It's getting dark, what the hell is going to come out? Joe Zekwan didn't mention the matter of not going out after dark. Star City Stark must be honestly nesting at the resurrection point. Joe Zechuan's constant reminders made Star City Stark's curiosity soar. His mind is full of what will happen in the dark night of the last days. When night fell, Joe Zekwan returned to room 1501. Star City Stark took off all his equipment and sneaked downstairs with only a flashlight. The zombies in this building have basically been wiped out. If there are any end-time creatures, they must be outside. After leaving the residential building, the experienced Star City Stark didn't turn on the flashlight immediately. The visibility brought by the moonlight was enough for him to discern the direction. The building materials market is in the southeast. Go this way and explore the road by the way. Stark looked at the map and touched in the direction of the south gate of the community. There are still many E-class zombies along the way. Star City Stark didn't do anything, and passed through safely while stuck in the zombies' vision. When they reached the security booth at the south gate, Star City Stark stopped to rest. Check your status while recovering your stamina. There is still 70% of my physical strength, which should be enough to support the building materials market. How did the sand value drop to 45%? What's the situation? Quote. Star City Stark frowned as he looked at his character information. The sand value is crazy, there is an extra fear debuff in the status bar, and all attributes are -1. Is this happening because of being in the dark for a long time? Quote. Star City Stark is wondering why the sand value has dropped. Suddenly a roar exploded from a distance. There is a big red dot on the map that is darkened and bolded, and it is moving rapidly in his direction. Seeing this, Stark of Star City quickly lowered his body and climbed into the security booth. Bang! It seems that something fell from a high place, just in front of the security booth. Star City Stark held his breath and half stood up. He carefully stuck his head out to see what it was. With the faint moonlight, he could only see the outline of the big red dot. It is more than 2 meters tall, with sharp claws on both hands, and it is definitely an elite monster level in terms of body size. It's a pity. The distance is too far to see the health bars and monster names. Quote. Star City Stark has set out to record. Just when he understood more characteristics of this elite monster, the monster turned his head abruptly, and looked at him with a pair of eyeless eyes. Was it discovered? Is this thing so vigilant? Stark was taken aback, and immediately rushed out the door. And at the moment when he reopened the gate of the security booth, the 2-meter-tall monster had already appeared in front of him. The distance of more than 10 meters is just one breath away. Moves so fast, Star City Stark was dumbfounded. With such a difference in moving speed, he is still running a fart. Knowing that it was a dead end, Star City Stark turned on the flashlight to shine on the monster in front of him. Unlike the rotting bodies of other E-rank zombies, this monster's body is complete. The lower jaw exploded radially, and the blood-colored meridians burst out all over the body. Such an image combined with the sense of oppression brought by the tall body made Star City Stark, the master of the end-time game, suffocate. However, Stark City Stark has not yet recorded all the information. There was a crack sound. With a wave of the monster's sharp claws, it cut his head into 3 pieces. I'm embarrassed. Just give me a second. Star City Stark, who entered the interface to be resurrected, was stunned. He opened 1% negative feedback, feeling a little trance after feeling the death of 1%. Take 2 long breaths and adjust your mentality. He began to recall the death picture in his mind. The name of the monster, Night Devil E-Class Elite. HP, 2200. Movement speed at least 50 points. As for the attack method, I only know the close-range claw attack for the time being. Such high-speed high-attack monsters that can kill players in seconds should belong to the boss, right? Is it just an E-level elite? Quote. After Star City Stark recorded all the recalled information, it was time for resurrection. He appeared in Saikisuke's room 1502. My current level is blunt weapon LV8. Constitution, 18. Strength, 17. Dexterity, 12. Intelligence, 10. Naked, I have 180 health and 12 movement speed. With such an attribute, it is basically impossible to solo the Night Demon. Quote. Stark of Star City smacked his mouth. It seems that he can only wait for Saikisuke and the others to go online before he can find a way to take down this elite monster. Single-handedly, stay away from this thing. Stark lay on the sofa, waiting for the sand value to recover. This game is not resurrected with full blood after death. Resurrection just resets the game character to the uninjured state before death. Therefore, the stamina value and sand value still need time to recover. Just when Star City Stark's sand value recovered to more than 50%, and the fear debuff was about to be cleared, that familiar roar sounded from below this residential building. How come? Hearing the roar, Star City Stark immediately ran to the balcony. Looking down from the balcony, he found a night monster climbing up at an extremely fast speed. The monsters in this game can still attack the player's resurrection point. Star City Stark was stunned. But, how did this thing find me? Is it because of the debuff of fear? Looking back on what happened before, it seemed that the night demon flew over after he had the fear debuff. The SAN value still has more than 10 seconds to return to the state of eliminating fear above 50%, which is enough time for it to find me here. It's over, it can't run away. The gap in strength is too large. Even if it is resurrected, it is difficult for me to cause harm to this thing. I won't be tortured by Yuquan all night, right? Bang, 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 knocked on the door suddenly. Zhou Zequan, who was startled by the night demon, came to support with full armor. Zhou Zequan has never fought Night Demon, but he can learn a lot of information through the system. The Night Devil was around 50 meters away, and his breath had been locked by it just like Stark City Stark. He can't escape at all. Escaping in the dark, it is better to join forces while there are players online. Maybe there is still a chance. Opening the door, Zhou Zequan signaled Stark City to run to the rooftop. Fight night monsters in rooms and hallways with no room to hide. The two quickly ran to the rooftop. Zhou Zequan seized the time to give Stark City Stark the information about Night Demon. The Night Devil is a creature that successfully fused the G-Virus, and it became like this if it didn't resist in the second stage of the mutation. Although it looks ugly, it has the ability to fuse the G-Virus. Night goblins only come out at night and stay in their lairs during the day. That's why I told you not to go out at night. Under normal circumstances, we are on the 15th floor, and night demons cannot perceive us. Unless someone is so frightened that the brain releases a flood of neurochemicals, that should be the reason why I attracted the night demon. Star City Stark raised his hand and honestly explained all this. Zhou Zequan took a deep breath and said, if it wasn't for the night monster who killed you, he wouldn't let me go. I really want to break your leg and send it to the night monster right now. Star City Stark. Zhou Zequan held his breath and continued popular science. Remember the night goblin's attack style. Claw strikes at close range, and sprinting leaps at long distances. We can't fight in close combat, let's take a long-range attack later. Just dodge the moment it sprints and jumps. Also, the weak point is not the head and heart, but the exploded jaw. Remember, quote, Zhou Zequan quickly spoke out the night demon information obtained from the system. Star City Stark nodded, it seems, quite simple. Easy, Zhou Zequan murmured in his heart, you can save me a little more time by killing as few times as possible, and I'll be thankful. Not long after the two reached the rooftop, a huge black shadow descended from the sky. Zhou Zequan backed up holding his crossbow, and shouted at Stark, go up and attract its attention. The player can be revived, he cannot be revived. Of course, the job of eating damage has to be done by the player. Full hatred, I understand. Star City Stark picked up the bricks next to him and threw them at Night Demon. Although only -1 damage floated out, it still attracted the hatred of the Night Demon. At this distance, he should burst into a sprint. Stark held his breath and squinted at Night Demon to check the details before his attack. The whole body is pressed down, and the leg muscles have swelled a lot, and now the Night Demon catapults towards Star City Stark and starts. The leap is almost instantaneous. But Stark, who had read the Night Devil's attack before the attack, rolled sideways and dodged. The Night Demon rushed to nothing. This guy is so lucky. Zhou Zequan was surprised by Star City Stark's operation. Leaping at such a fast speed, can it be perfectly dodged? Brother, don't be dazed, output. Star City Stark urged. Zhou Zequan paused, and immediately raised his crossbow to aim. After practicing for so long in the last days, Zhou Zequan's crossbow level is not bad. A crossbow arrow flew out. It precisely pierced into the Night Devil's jaw. Weak point crit. This crossbow hit 235 high damage. The Night Demon screamed and turned to look at Zhou Zequan in the distance. Zhou Zequan ignored it, and continued to load the crossbow while shouting. Help me hold on. 10 shots will kill this thing. It can't be delayed. Your damage is too high. Stark harassed him in various ways, but Night Demon completely ignored him. The body pressed down, the thigh muscle swelled, and it was another leap forward attack. Zhou Zequan, who was loading the crossbow, must not be able to escape this attack. After loading, Joe Zekwan raised his crossbow, but at this time the night demon had already flown to his face. Leaping claws swung down. A human body was directly chopped off in the middle. The body split from the middle, and a large amount of blood gushed out, instantly turning Joe Zekwan into a blood man. After Joe Zekwan wiped his face, he saw the situation clearly. It was Stark of Star City who blocked this blow with his physical body. It seems that these players are still somewhat useful. Joe Zekwan didn't expect that the players would come to rescue him. Even if they can be resurrected, few players are willing to use their lives to protect the NPC. Stark really gained Joe Zechuan's favorability by doing so. Of course, Joe Zechuan's attitude towards him is still negative even after a wave of favorability. There's no way, these players really suck at NPC. On the battlefield, Joe Zekwan didn't dare to delay. Taking advantage of the night demon's attack, Joe Zechuan's second crossbow arrow shot out. With a sound of "poo kai," the crossbow arrow directly shot through the night devil's jaw, causing 311 damage. Face-to-face attack, the damage is obviously much higher. After being hit by these two arrows, the night demon roared in pain. Joe Zekwan quickly moved away and continued to load the crossbow. The blood bar on the night devil's head is still more than half. It is not time to relax. At this time, only Joe Zekwan, a shooter, was left alone to face a monster with rushing skills. The pressure suddenly increased. Even if he could load the crossbow bolts, Joe Zekwan couldn't shoot steadily. A crossbow arrow missed the fatal point and hit other parts of the night demon. The damage couldn't even reach 50 points, so it became a scraping for the night demon. If this continues, Joe Zekwan will not be able to cause substantial damage to the night devil even if he shoots all the crossbow bolts he carries. Joe Zekwan gritted his teeth, took out the bayonet from his waist, and prepared to fight the night demon in close combat. The bayonet produced by the system is much stronger than the crossbow even for scraping. Joe Zekwan rushed forward holding the bayonet. When approaching the night demon, he jumped up high and stabbed it in the jaw with a knife. The night devil is an intelligent mutant creature, it knows how to protect its vitals. Seeing Joe Zekwan poke its jaw straight, it quickly raised its thick arm to resist. According to past experience, the moment the bayonet hits its arm, it will lose its edge if it is not broken. But this is not the case with this bayonet. Joe Zechuan's bayonet directly pierced its arm. In other parts, 160 points of high damage were dealt. This is a system-produced weapon with armor penetration. Is it something you can hold with your hands? Joe Zekwan couldn't help a smile from the corner of his mouth. With this bayonet, Gua Sha will scrape you to death. The night demon, whose hatred was full, roared angrily. The next moment, its claws slapped Joe Zechuan's head. Even if Joe Zekwan has a physique as high as 60 points, if the most important head is hit by the night demon, he must be crippled if he doesn't die. Joe Zekwan hastily rolled and dodged. Dodged, but not completely dodged. Night Devil's claws still slapped his right hand, leaving 3 bloodstains on his arm with deep visible bones. Joe Zechuan's 600 HP instantly dropped to 430. If it were to be replaced by another player, Yimo's blow would have killed him instantly. The blood volume is still 430, but Joe Zechuan's main hand has already displayed the disabled state. He can no longer use crossbows and bayonets. As an NPC, Joe Zekwan couldn't help complaining in his heart. It has already integrated the online game template, so don't be so realistic. Shouldn't the blood volume of online games not be cleared to 0, so the combat power will not be weakened? As a result, he still has 430 HP, but he is completely powerless to fight back. I'm not really going to hang here today, are I? Joe Zekwan looked desperate. How many times can he escape the Night Devil's attack without the power to fight back? Bew, bew, bew. Just when Night Demon was about to launch the next round of attack to finish Joe Zekwan, it was interrupted by 3 crisp sounds. It sounds. Why does it look a bit like a pistol with a suppressor? Joe Zekwan looked at the entrance of the rooftop with doubts. The resurrected Star City Stark is really holding a pistol and shooting at the Night Demon. You uncle, you have a pistol, why didn't you use it sooner? Joe Zekwan, who almost thought that he was going to die, immediately became rude. Stark scratched his neck and said with embarrassment, I came up in a hurry just now, and I didn't take any equipment. Hurry up and deal with the night demon. With the power of the pistol, as long as you hit the vital point, a few shots will, Why is the night demon lying on the ground without moving? Joe Zekwan suddenly realized that the rooftop seemed to be quiet. The night demon that was jumping around before had no life left. Look at the system interface again. There are -623, -620, -634 damage prompts on it. Stark shot 3 times, and the gunshot hit the night devil's weak point. Give it a second. Joe Zekwan squinted his eyes at Star City Stark. He knows that before players learn the skills, shooting depends entirely on their own skills. The marksmanship is so accurate. Who the hell is this guy? International mercenaries, retired soldiers. I also know a little bit about marksmanship. Seeing Joe Zechuan's puzzled expression, Stark of Star City waved his hand and explained, I am now a 5-star member of Star City Shooting Club. Joe Zekwan probably couldn't have imagined that some players wanted to experience the end of the world game better. We'll learn various skills in reality. No wonder those people called this guy Keshin during the day. This guy is probably a player at the top level of the legendary pyramid. Joe Zekwan looked at Stark in Star City, and immediately felt less disgusted than before. In his eyes, Star City Stark is simply an extremely high-quality worker. Of course, it would have been better if this beater didn't catch the NPC to death. Put this guy down, and stay on the roof to attract the second night monster and have a lot of fun. Joe Zekwan greeted Stark to carry the body of Night Demon. Star City Stark not only didn't find it troublesome, but also looked excited. Elite monsters, something must come out of this corpse. He carried the Night Devil's body back to the 15th floor corridor. Star City Stark directly took out various knives to prepare for dismemberment. But just when he was about to make a move, he found himself imprisoned by an invisible force. You do not have permission to handle this item. You do not have permission to handle this item. You do not have permission. I wipe. Star City Stark knew what the system prompt meant. There is only one case where this kind of information prompt appears. The system judged that the Night Demon did not kill him. Although it was a monster driven by Stark of Star City, he hung up and idled for a long time. Joe Zekwan hit another third of Night Demon's HP. Even after the resurrection, Stark of Star City killed the Night Demon with a pistol, but the system still judged that Joe Zekwan killed the Night Demon. In one sentence, it was Stark, the player of Star City, who was robbed by NPCs. Good guy, have I been busy all night? Stark put on a mask of pain on his face. How can it be considered a waste of work? You have at least accumulated experience in surviving in the last days. Joe Zekwan happily took over the Night Demon's body. Experience. After being reminded, Star City Stark looked at his character information. 4 attacks toss plus 3 bullets. The weapon level and attributes have been significantly improved. Hidden weapon LV1 right pointing arrow LV2. Firearm LV1 right pointing arrow LV4. Constitution 18 right pointing arrow 19. Strength 17 right pointing arrow 18. Agility 12 right pointing arrow 14. Intelligence 10 right pointing arrow 11. Attacking elite monsters. Can you gain so much experience? Stark City Stark has an urge to continue to die in the dark. If you still want to trouble the Night Devils, I suggest you go to their lairs during the day. At least you won't attract them here because of the fear they radiate. Joe Zekwan saw through Stark's thoughts and reminded him coldly. Star City Stark laughed awkwardly. If he hadn't found this pistol before, he would have really screwed up the NPC Joe Zekwan. Joe Zekwan has already begun to dissect the Night Demon's body. You got the Daredevil heart. You have acquired the claws of the Night Devil. This is the material that the dead Night Demon exploded from. May I ask, what is the use of these two things? Star City Stark asked curiously. The heart of the Night Devil, the material for synthesizing potions, the sharp claws of the Night Devil, the material for forging weapons. Joe Zekwan gave an easy-to-understand answer. Hiss, good stuff. Stark took a deep breath and asked, is this material for sale? Do you know how to make medicine or refine weapons? Joe Zekwan glanced at him. No. Stark shook his head, muttering inwardly, the synthesis of these materials is obviously a skill in the game. Where can I learn it in reality? I won't now. It doesn't mean I won't in the future. Star City Stark added. I'll sell you both as a package, 5 gold, do you want it? You are too expensive. AD level task, reward 10 silver. Then he has to complete 50 D level missions to buy these materials. No money, so why are you asking so much? Zhou Zequan waved his left hand and returned directly to his room 1501. The wound on his right hand is still oozing blood, so he needs to be treated quickly. Fortunately, he has a lot of basic recovery items. Bandages, energy drinks, and primary life potions were used as if they were free of money. The life value is directly replenished with props, but it will take a little time for the wound to fully recover. Looking at the empty corridor, Stark of Star City couldn't help muttering, it seems that what Shiyifu said is true, this NPC will price his products according to the degree of favorability. Otherwise, those 2 materials would not be able to sell me 5 gold. Star City Stark sighed, walked to the entrance of the passage and started his construction task. Hey, why can't this broken game be recharged with Krypton gold? Not long after, the clanging and knocking sound in the residential building stopped abruptly. Star City Stark noticed that someone sent him a message on WeiQ. Old Shi, it's not good to play games secretly by yourself, right? It was still a familiar id, and Feng. There are only 2 types of people in Star City Stark's friend list. A player like Shi Yisuk who owes favors, and Gao Wan who is as good at survival games in the last days as him. This and Feng who privately chatted on WeiQ information is a top player of 8 Days Kill, and there are many teaching videos of 8 Days Kill made by him on the internet. And Feng, old Shi, when we established the group, we agreed to find a good game to share. Close black lens bracket. You have been online for 9 hours and 36 minutes, so you didn't make a sound in the group. Close black lens bracket. Seeing the message, Star City Stark sighed. He reckoned that he couldn't hide it from these Gao Wan who had his friend status. They simply left a few lines of text in their End-Time Cultural Exchange group. Star City Stark. Find an end of the world themed online game. Real end of the world, 100% realistic picture quality, beat all game manufacturers. Close black lens bracket. Hurry up and grab resources online, it will be too late. Close black lens bracket. He thought that what he said was so exaggerated, maybe it would have the opposite effect, so that such a large number of masters would not be allowed to go online and compete directly. Sunshine Boy. Ghost. Lao Shi actually accepted the promotion of the game, which game company's big money. Tree Rolling Master. The name of this game feels a bit low, I don't really want to click it. Buckwheat Manto. The last game I opened with such a name was called Real Girlfriend, does this game also have young ladies watching it? Close black lens bracket. The pigeons have become fine. I took a look at the cover of the game. The alien women in the last days are all beautiful, so I am worried that they will be as deceitful as the covers of island movies. Close black lens bracket. I really don't know how to build a house. Group leader, you talk about games, just talk about games, don't mess with the rhythm. Ban on driving. Close black lens bracket. However, this is the first time I have seen Lao Shi describe a game like this. Is it credible? And Feng, you can check his online time. Sunshine Boy. His online time has been 9 hours and 40 minutes. What game makes Lao Shi so popular? No, I have to try it. Tree Rolling Expert. Wait for evaluation. Buckwheat Steamed Bun. +1. The pigeon has become refined. +1. Open black lens bracket +1. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket +1. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Close black lens bracket. 3 minutes later, the Sunny Boy returned to the chat group. Sunshine Boy. Old She didn't lie. The fidelity of this game is not 100% but also 95%. I entered the game without knowing whether it is reality or a game. Tree Rolling Master. The game's picture quality is really so awesome. What about gameplay? Isn't it just a demo for us to see the scenery? Close black lens bracket. Sunshine Boy. You can fully control the characters in the game. Except for some unharmonized ones, you can do any action. I haven't encountered any items that cannot be interacted with in the past few minutes of playing. Close black lens bracket. Buckwheat Manto. So, this is indeed a complete game. Close black lens bracket. The pigeon has become fine. at Yongguang Nanhai, then you continue to play. Why did you quit after only a few minutes? Close black lens bracket. Sunshine Boy. Open black lens bracket. I want to too. I just found my way out by the moonlight, but a giant monster stuck me to death. That monster shape is really exciting. I'm so scared. Close black lens bracket. Tree rolling expert. I think you are excited. And Feng, I'm back. I can clearly see the monster that the Sunshine Boy said. Its name is Night Demon. I successfully escaped 5 attacks. But in the end he was killed by another Night Demon. Now there are at least 3 Night Goblins stuck in the spawn point. It is difficult for players to play the game. Close black lens bracket. Sunshine Boy. There is this kind of monster at the birth point. It is a must-have for M-shaking players. Close black lens bracket. The brothers spread the fire. Huh. Heard there are good games to play. Close black lens bracket. I really don't know how to build a house. Group owner. Looking at what you've said, can you be sure that this game is exactly what Lao Shi described? Close black lens bracket. And Feng, even if it doesn't completely match, I'm sure I'll play the game based on the game experience just now. Close black lens bracket. I really don't know how to build a house. Then let me post at everyone's notice. We haven't settled in a game collectively for more than a year. Tree Master. Isn't it because the recent apocalyptic games are all crumbs, and we don't care about the quality of games like Lao Shi? It's an apocalyptic themed game and he has to clear the level. After the group owner posted an announcement at everyone, the chat messages began to flash across the screen. The Doomsday Cultural Exchange group has not been this lively for a long time. I really don't know how to build a house. It has been confirmed that we have 95 players who can go online now. Let's brainstorm how to kill those night monsters at the birth point. Close black lens bracket. After discussing for a while, 95 Doomsday experts appeared in Real Doomsday. The first wave was born, and 95 players were easily wiped out by the 3-headed Night Demon group. In the second wave of Collective Resurrection, they analyzed the Night Monster's attack mode and weakness, and after half an hour of fierce fighting with the Night Monster, the group was wiped out. The third wave, revived in batches, took over the baton and used steel scrap iron to grind the Night Demon's blood. It took another half an hour, and the 95 players killed the 3 Night Demons with construction waste. After the war, and Feng directly opened the voice with Star City Stark in the game. Where are you now? We have passed the novice test. Not to mention, these 3 Night Devils are really hard to kill. Quote, question mark. Star City Stark, who was still working on the protective door, looked confused. Chapter 31. Novice Test. Does this game have this thing? Why don't I know? Wait. What did you just say? You killed the 3 Night Demons. Star City Stark put down the hammer in his hand, and his speech was a little awkward. Not long ago, Stark City Stark had a deep understanding of the strength of the Night Demon. With their current roll strength, there are no long-range weapons such as thermal weapons or crossbows. When encountering Night Devils, you can basically play GG and wait to die on the spot. Unless there are a large number of players with good technical coordination. When other players are seconded, rush over to grind blood. Trade your life for damage. Only in this way can it be possible to kill the Night Demon. Isn't the 3-headed Night Devil at the birth point a novice test? And Feng continued. I don't know what to think about this game planner, it's so difficult to design this thing. We have 95 people online in our group. Count the Night Goblin's attacks, weaknesses, respawn time and the damage those weapons can do. Stuck in the resurrection time, constantly exchanging human heads and Night Demons for blood. That's it. It took us half an hour to kill the 3 Night Monsters. If it were other players, they would probably be dismissed immediately. Quote. Stark nodded silently when he heard the words. If other players enter the game at night and encounter Night Monsters, they will definitely be scared and quit the game in seconds. Only the core players of these Doomsday games can gather together and take down these 3 Night Monsters. Where are you now? Stark asked, searching for something. And Feng glanced at the players running around in the ruins, and said with a smile. Everyone coming out of the house is a large pile of supplies. It seems that these guys' techniques are not very unfamiliar. You tell them not to search, come to me first. Stark of Star City sent and Fung his coordinates. The coordinates have been received. We will find you after we search this area. And Fung glanced at the map and replied. Stop searching for things outside. Haven't you found out that being in the dark outside will lose sand value? If the sand value drops below 50%, there will be a fear debuff, and the Night Devil will come to find it. Quote. We know that the sand value will drop, and Fung said indifferently, if you drop it, you will drop it, and it will recover soon after staying next to the light source. As for Daredevil, you mean he's looking for players with the fear debuff? Quote. That's right, Night Demon can only detect players within 50 meters, but after the player has a state of fear, this distance will be doubled several times. Star City Stark shared the information he got from Joe Zekwan. There was a noticeable sigh of relief in the voice conversation. Then, suddenly there was a burst of cheers. If that's the case, that's great. Ah, Star City Stark was stunned. Don't you know that the experience gained from attacking Night Devils is much higher than that from attacking E-level ordinary zombies? Moreover, the Night Devil also exploded materials, and those E-level ordinary zombies killed nothing. Quote. I know all of this. Stark smacked his lips. If he could guarantee his absolute safety to single-handedly kill the Night Devil, he would also be wandering in the dark night now. Hey, speaking of attracting Night Devils, there really is one. And Fang's voice became even more excited. I have to go there quickly, and I should be able to gain some experience. Hey, you all let go of that night monster. Let me come. Master and Fung, don't come here to hunt monsters. The Night Demon attacked us first. Several players in front of the Night Demon shouted quickly. Let me stab him twice, just twice. I'll gain experience. And Fung raised the fruit knife he just found. Soon, more players were attracted by the movement of Night Demon. After seeing the Night Demon, their eyes lit up one by one. I won't argue with you about the materials, but you must let me touch this Night Demon. Me too, my hidden weapon will be level 10 soon, just let me shoot it with a brick. And me, let me go up and step on it. I heard that the price rises quickly like this. Yimo looked at the 95 players in front of him in a daze. These humans, why aren't they afraid of it? And the look in its eyes reveals greed. These humans seem to want to take it for themselves. Nightmare doesn't know why. It was a little panicked at the moment. The next moment, Yimo bent down, and his thigh muscles began to swell. The front swing of the leap has appeared, but its direction is the opposite direction of the player. Not good. This Night Devil is going to slip. Stop it. Someone among the players noticed the Night Demon's intentions and shouted hastily. It can't escape. On the 3-story mansion next to Yimo, buckwheat steamed buns jumped down. His weight of more than 200 caddies slammed firmly on Yimo's face, causing Yimo to stagger. Immediately afterwards, a large number of footsteps sounded. The players rushed towards it in black and white. If the Night Devil could communicate in human language, it would have shouted. Don't come here. Only need to deal with a Night Demon. These Doomsday high-end players don't even need to think about strategic play. Just swarm up, just be reckless. -15, -18, -12, -9, -11. The feedback of the damage caused by various weapons to the Night Devil is refreshed on the system interface. The damage is very low, and it looks like it's just scraping the Night Devil. But I can't bear the high frequency. It didn't take long for the Night Devil 2430's blood bar to let these players use no more than 20 points of damage, and it was wiped out abruptly. After the players who got the right of ownership collected the materials released by the Night Demon, all the players disbanded in place and continued to search for things in other ruins. The action power is directly full. It stands to reason that players should feel fearful and helpless in a doomsday full of mutated creatures. But these core players, who have experienced countless baptisms of horror, feel extremely adaptable in the face of such a bloody and weird apocalypse. Coming to this end of the world is like returning home. I love it here. Other players may be terrified, dare not do this. And these players are so excited that they fly. What kind of ruins, dark corners, all kinds of drilling, no fear at all. In the next hour, these players directly turned into 3 lights and cleaned up the entire street. When preparing to leave for Star City Stark, the average person is overweight. There is no movement speed and 5 points are retained. They carried a lot of supplies to the community, Stark City Stark picked them up on the first floor of the residential building. And Feng waved his hand to say hello, and reminded, the street outside the birth point has been stripped away by us, so don't go there to find resources in the future. Star City Stark, old she, you can't do this. The quality of the game is so good that I secretly played it all day before I came to the group to talk about it. Sunshine Boy lightly hammered Stark. This game is pretty good. A deep voice sounded. Stark turned his head to look, and immediately said in surprise, Group leader, are you here too? The group leader, I really don't know how to build a house, is a middle-aged person, and he is the oldest among all the players in appearance. I really don't know how to build a house, smiled and responded, it's also a coincidence, the project I'm in charge of just finished yesterday. You found such a game today, and I just had time to come over and play with everyone. Quote, by the way, how do you think about the proposal I gave you before, are you really unwilling to accept the offer? Star City Stark paused, and said a little embarrassedly, I asked you to borrow those books for research, really just to build a stable house in the game. I really don't know how to build a house inside, that's a pity. Boss, don't talk about real work after you've entered the game. And Feng interrupted, looked at Stark and said, you've been playing this game for a day, share the information you know. Well, there is an NPC on the 15th floor, who can accept tasks and buy things. Now we know that there are two kinds of end-time creatures, one is E-level zombies, and the other is E-level elite monsters, that is, night devils. You should have figured out the characteristics of these two end-time creatures by yourself. Quote. Stark looked at the sky and said while recalling. That's it. No, you've been playing for more than 10 hours, and the progress of the game has been pushed so far. It's not like your style. And Feng narrowed his eyes and asked in confusion. There is no information about this game, so I can only slowly open up Wasteland and explore while ensuring my own survival. I will give you 10 hours. Can you try to push the progress? Stark curled his lips, and said impatiently, see if you have any stronger building materials after searching so many materials. If there are, I will collect them in Yanguo coins. Why do you need building materials? I received a task to build a protective door. Then you were really lucky. We really have people stuffing complete stone bricks, planks and other materials in their backpacks. Send me the ID, and I will go to them to negotiate the price. And Feng nodded, and sent some IDs to Star City Stark. In a few minutes, Star City Stark collected a lot of building materials with Yan Kingdom coins. And Feng, Sunshine Boy, and I Can't Build a House who have a good relationship helped him move the materials to the 15th floor. The rest of the players continued to target the 3 lights on this residential building. Joe Zekwan and Star City Stark were just cleaning up the zombies that could be seen at a glance in the aisles and corridors. There are still many rooms in this residential building that hide things, allowing these players to open blind boxes. 15th floor. Stark can finally continue his mission after getting the building materials. The sound of jingling sounded again in the residential building. I really don't know how to build a house. I went up to watch Star City Stark's craftsmanship. I couldn't help but shook my head and said, you're a little rough. Star City Stark, early the next morning, Joe Zekwan, who was in a drowsy sleep, heard noisy footsteps outside the door. He scratched his head, squinted and opened the door of room 1501. In the aisle, there are many people walking back and forth. Joe Zekwan directly black ? Face. Did I wear it back again? There were more than a dozen people walking around in the aisle, carrying things. All of them looked calm, and they didn't seem to be in the end of the world at all. The whole atmosphere is extremely harmonious. Such an environment gave Joe Zekwan the illusion that he had returned to Blue Star. But it didn't take long before the bloodstains all over the wall brought him back to reality. I wish I could wear it back again. Joe Zekwan sighed. So these are all players. Joe Zekwan checked the number of people online through the system. Number of people online, 132. What happened? There were so many new players in one night. Joe Zekwan was a little puzzled. At this time, the familiar voice of Wu Lianzuo came not far away. Isn't that Feng? I've watched a lot of his game videos. The one over there, Brother Xuanwo, the master of the White Soul Speed Pass without injury. He is here too. Buckwheat steamed buns. Tank occupation textbook. We are worried that other players will go online to grab resources and it will happen. And all of them are masters. But the question is, how do these great gods know about this game? Wu Lianzuo couldn't figure it out, and they didn't tell other people about this game. Only, Wu Lianzuo turned his head and shifted his gaze to Star City Stark, who was accepting the final step of the protective door. Star City Stark apologized and said, "These are all my friends in the post-apocalyptic communication group, and they all have my friend status. I forgot to enable stealth on my platform account when I was playing games, and they caught me." Quote, "But don't worry, they will only play their own game, and will not form cliques to promote it everywhere. We still have the advantage of being the first batch of players. Well, this is the food they found yesterday. I collected 50 kilograms, which is enough for you to complete the task." Stark threw a large backpack to Wu Lianzuo. Wu Lian sat in place in a daze. Is Star City Stark Krypton King starting to show his strength? Perhaps, having more players is not entirely a bad thing. Wu Lianzuo carried the food and handed in the material collection task. The task rewards 100 copper, and randomly unlocks a white normal quality food crafting. Among the 5 consecutive sittings, 3 of them unlock the bread, and 2 of them unlock the biscuits. As long as there are raw materials, they can directly make bread and biscuits through the ability given by the online game template. You don't even need kitchen utensils. Moreover, the food made through the online game template can restore a lot of physical strength, much higher than the local end of the world supplies. This is just white normal quality food. High quality food can not only restore physical strength, but even improve combat effectiveness. Of course, the ingredients needed for such high quality food are also more difficult to come by. After Wu Lianzuo handed in the task, Star City Stark also found Zhou Zequan. After half a night, plus half an hour of refinement in the morning, he built a perfect protective door on the 15th floor. It can also be seen from the successful submission of the task that the protective door can indeed withstand the attack of E-level elite monsters. After completing the task of Bronze Wall and Iron Wall, Stark of Star City received 10 silver and the ability to build Grass Wall. Grass Wall construction 1x1x1m requires Branch x10, Grass x10, Rope x5, Grass Wall. Physical defense, 100. Fire defense, -200. Durability, 150 150ths. After browsing the construction requirements and defense effects of Grass Wall, Star City Stark showed surprise. The stab-proof suit found on his body only had 35 points of physical defense. And with this construction skill, only grass, branches, and ropes can make a protective wall with a physical defense of 100. The price-performance ratio is simply ridiculous. The basic fence is in place, but we need to accumulate a little more. At least one kind of tower defense construction must be unlocked before we consider building a home outside. Stark of Star City thought about it, and took a look at Zhou Zequan. I don't know if I can take this NPC away for development outside. The personal task is completed, and the next one can be taken. Saikisuke reminded. That's right, there's still an exclamation mark on this NPC's head. Prodigal's Away also reacted. Let's go first, it's our turn. After Wu Lian sat down, some players squeezed over. In line with good qualities, they let Wu Lianzuo and Star City Stark hand in the task first. Now, it's time for them to find Zhou Zequan to lead the mission. Zhou Zequan glanced at the map. The team of players had already lined up from the aisle on the 15th floor to several floors below. More than 100 players are waiting to accept the mission from him. Zhou Zequan thought about it carefully and couldn't help but took a deep breath. It is the simplest F-level task. Let these players complete it and he can get more than 100 points. E-level task, more than 1,000 points. D-level task, that is more than 5,000 points. Zhou Zequan feels that he will usher in a wave of great promotion. Zhou Zequan spent the entire morning posting and submitting tasks to players. Standing in the aisle on the 15th floor, communicating with more than 100 players. He can also be regarded as experiencing the hard work of the NPC in the game. In the beginning, in order to integrate into the role of NPC, he also said a lot of lines to ensure that he would not play. In the later stage, let him say one more word, even if he loses. Publishing a task basically means reporting the name of the task, and then asking the player whether to accept it or not. Collect supplies, do you want to do it? Clean up the house, do you want to do it? Kill zombies, do you want to do it? If you don't do it, get the hell out of me. Of course, even if the NPC has a bad attitude, no player will reject Joe Zechuan's mission. After all, it is the only NPC at present, and it is acceptable to be irritable. Somewhat to Joe Zechuan's surprise, the speed at which these players completed the task was simply astonishing. Whether it is a team or an individual, the difficulty is FED, as long as you accept the task. If there are no special circumstances, we are guaranteed to come back within a quarter of an hour. In comparison, the first batch of Wulianzi to enter the game is very muggle. Joe Zechuan couldn't help giving them hints with his eyes. Kangkong people, in Kangkong you. How can you sleep with such efficiency in completing tasks? Under the efficient action of this large number of high-quality players, Joe Zechuan got 3,300 points in the morning. Normally, Joe Zechuan should get more points. After all, remove threat as AD level task, and more than 100 players can bring him more than 5,000 points. But why? The E-rank zombies in this film are not enough to kill. The E-class zombies in Beluo community were all wiped out by these players in the morning. All the zombies hidden in the sewer were found out and killed by them. Some players did not kill enough 100, so they could only go out to kill monsters. After the player is rolled up, the range of killing monsters is getting farther and farther, so that it will not be possible to come back for a while. Not long after, it was time to hand in the task. Joe Zechuan, who could finally rest, returned to his room. Having gained so many points, he naturally wants to enter the time of bye. Bye, bye. After experiencing the night demon incident, Joe Zechuan realized how small he is. Even if you wear the system and open the plugin, he could also be cheated to death by these players at any time. Now that he has a lot of points, the first thing he bought was Ankh of Rebirth. No matter what, give yourself a little fault tolerance first. If you can't hang up in danger, you will be GG forever. He can't accept this. After exchanging 1,000 points for the Ankh of Rebirth, there was no real thing in his hand. What you get is a system prompt. The system has copied the host's body and will provide the host with a resurrection function. Close black lens bracket. After death, the host can choose an absolutely safe location to be reborn. Close black lens bracket. Huh, if that's the case, am I also soul-pierced? Joe Zechuan couldn't help wondering. The system perfectly combines the flexibility of protecting the host with the replicator without any side effects. Close black lens bracket. It's not bad. It's better to wear your own clone than to wear someone else's soul. After understanding the resurrection function, Joe Zechuan continued to use points to improve his strength. Spend 1330 points again to eat books to enhance. Joe Zechuan raised all 4 attributes to the limit of 60 points for ordinary humans. If the surge in health and attack power is not intuitively reflected, Joe Zechuan's movement speed has also been increased from 11 to 60. Even if the Night Devil came, he couldn't run as fast as Joe Zechuan. Compared with other players, Joe Zechuan now can be regarded as a humanoid monster. After purchasing the Ankh of Rebirth and eating books to improve attributes, Joe Zechuan still has 970 points left. This is an embarrassing number. Not enough to exchange for props that allow him to break through the physical limits of ordinary humans, but it can be exchanged for many products that greatly increase his combat power. But he exchanged for commodities that increase his combat power, so he didn't know when he would be able to earn so many points. It doesn't matter, first raise your combat power to the current ceiling and then consider the next thing. Joe Zechuan gritted his teeth and decided to stud the points. Joe Zechuan's current weapon level. Crossbow, LV7. Knife, LV11. The level is not enough, and in terms of skills, he can't learn gorgeous active skills, but he can learn a general skill of melee weapons double blades. Double blades is a level 10 passive skill, and point exchange is not very expensive, only 100 points are needed. Double blades enable the ability to dual wield weapons. Increase physical attack power by 10%. Increases armor penetration by 5%. There was another reason why Zhou Zequan didn't hesitate to redeem this skill. That is, after learning double blades, the default is to be proficient in the left hand. With this ability, he won't be forced to lie on the spot and die as if his right hand was disabled by the night demon like last time. After skill exchange comes equipment. The attribute value has reached the limit of ordinary humans. Zhou Zequan can choose a lot of equipment. According to the current remaining points, after Zhou Zequan browsed the host mall, his gaze stayed on the two long swords that were smooth to white. Polished longsword, 200 points. Quality, blue rare. Physical attack power, 73 to 86. Armor penetration, 10. Durable 35/35. Required strength, 30. Requires dexterity, 25. The reason why Zhou Zequan chose this sword is simple. Among the weapons with the same points, this is the one with the highest attack power. The static physical attack power of a cold weapon is almost equal to that of a P-18C pistol. With his 60 points of strength blessing, this physical attack power has to be doubled. Plus double blades, skill blessing. Zhou Zequan held the sword in his hand, and the physical attack power in the status bar directly soared to 161 to 189. With 10 points of armor penetration, Zhou Zequan felt that he would definitely be able to kill Night Demon in seconds. After the offensive equipment is confirmed, Zhou Zequan continues to exchange defensive equipment. Head, steel helmet, 150 points. Quality, blue rare. Physical defense, 80. Required strength, 15. Durability, 20/20. Chest, exquisite plate armor, 150 points. Quality, blue rare. Physical defense, 120. Required strength, 30. Durability, 50/50. Leg, gilded leg armor, 150 points. Quality, blue rare. Physical defense, 100. Required strength, 20. Durability, 45/45. There are actually armor, belts, shoes, and many accessories that can be worn on the equipment. But after Zhou Zequan redeemed these main defensive equipment, there were only 20 points left. The 20 points can only be kept as decorations. After Zhou Zequan put on all the equipment, he checked his personal information. The skyrocketing offensive and defensive values gave him a great sense of security. With a full load, there are still 50 points of movement speed, which is completely enough. Zhou Zequan rubbed his chin. He felt that it was necessary for him to go out at night to find the night demon to practice his weapon level. The footsteps in the aisle suddenly became chaotic again. Has anyone returned to turn in the quest? Zhou Zequan muttered and opened the door. In the aisle are Enfeng and Sunshine Boy. They are urging Star City Stark to take his equipment out. On the side there is Wulianzuo, who has already prepared and plans to hang out with him. You guys are in such a hurry, where are you going? Zhou Zequan asked. A player found several night monsters at the subway station, and we are going to rush over there. Enfeng replied. As soon as Enfeng finished speaking, Zhou Zequan was startled by the reminder in his mind. Open black lens bracket, collected new mission information, close black lens bracket. The host can now release new missions, cut grass and roots. Open black lens bracket, cut the weeds and roots, close black lens bracket. Team. Pre-mission. The number of players required, 31. Weapon must reach LV10. Task requirements. Destroy the Night Devil's lair in the subway passage and kill all Night Devils. Difficulty rating, C. Task reward. According to the use of weapons, a 10-level skill book will be rewarded, and 1 gold will be rewarded. Old Shi, hurry up, there will be no chance to gain experience any later. Enfeng urged. Wait a minute. Zhou Zequan hurriedly stopped the group of people as they went downstairs. Grandpa of Shinshou Village, Brother Chuan, now is not the time to help you collect supplies. Prodigal Zoe responded aloud. I stopped you because I didn't want you to die. Zhou Zequan took a deep breath and began to enter the role. The subway station you're talking about is in Silla University Town, right? How do you know? Enfeng asked in surprise. Zhou Zequan didn't answer Fang's question, but his expression turned serious, and he warned. You guys are far from enough. There are not only a few night devils there, but a night devil lair there. If you want to destroy that night devil's lair, you must gather more talents. Zhou Zequan had just finished speaking. A task reminder popped up on the interface of Feng and the others. Mission: cut the weeds and eradicate the roots. Accept, reject. After browsing the mission information, Feng shouted directly. A group book of 30 people. The task reward is 1 gold, and there is also a skill book. I have been killing monsters in level A, can I finally learn skills? A team of 30, what about the candidates? Stark asked. I have to come and find an NPC to lead the mission, what else can I do? First come, first served. Feng shrugged, and then sent a message in the group. Players near the residential building rushed to the 15th floor immediately after getting the news. Ha ha ha, catch up, I happen to be the 30th. Buckwheat Manto's huge body jumped up, as if the whole floor was trembling. Ian and Feng are the output, and the main tea has steamed buns. This trip should be stable. Stark took a deep breath, and his mind had already started to simulate the scene of opening monsters later. Just when the team of 30 people was ready to go to the subway station, Shi Yifu, who was in charge of the observation, found that there was one more person in the team. Brother Chuan, why are you following us? Follow you? Of course, it's past experience. Zhou Zequan muttered to himself. Now he has the fault tolerance rate of the Ankh of Rebirth, and his combat power has skyrocketed. Of course, you have to go out of the residential building to touch the higher level end time creatures. Leveling up is faster, and more quest data can be collected. With these players, Zhou Zequan can better guarantee his own safety. After all, I really encountered a creature of the last days that I couldn't beat. He just needs to run faster than these players. After Zhou Zechuan's inner activities were over, he put on an extremely serious expression. He looked at Saikisuke, and said in a deep voice, "This matter is related to the survival of human beings, and it is my duty to destroy the night demon's lair." While speaking, Zhou Zequan drew out the 2 polished long swords and held them in his hands. Murderous. Hiss. Shi Yisuke was shocked on the spot. Is the NPC layout of this game so big? Actually helping the player with the task? Then, what position do you usually play? Main tank, output, field control, protection? Seeing that Zhou Zequan was going to join the team, Stark subconsciously asked. Seeing that Zhou Zequan didn't respond, Star City Stark slapped his forehead. Forgot again. This NPC is too much like a real player. Don't worry about the NPC, let him paddle by himself later, it is more important to understand our own style of play. Feng turned to look at the weapon configuration of his teammates. 21 wooden bows, 1 pistol, 5 iron swords, 1 knife, and 1 scepter. AT with a shield, only buckwheat buns. Quote, this. After you complete the remove threat mission, will you reward the bow you chose? The bow can shoot zombies from a long distance, it's safe. Someone among the players replied. No, with your operating level, even with a knife and dagger, these zombies can't do anything to you. Feng felt his temples start to jump up. There are so many shooters, how do we play? I already have a premonition of the scene where we are being attacked by night demons in the back row. Aren't there still a lot of cold weapons in the supplies, just let them change them? Prodigals Away suggested. It's not enough to change the equipment. Shi Yifu patted the prodigals away and explained. They raised their bows to level 10, which means that their physique and strength attributes haven't increased much at all. They are just like the shooters in other games, a crisp batch. Look at Buckwheat Manto again. The level of the shield is only 11, but the physique is as high as 29 points. The blood volume alone is twice as much as ours. Prodigals Away thought for a while, and suddenly said, the main attack method of the Night Devil is sprinting and jumping. Isn't that? So Feng is in a bad mood now. What an underworld lineup. How do you fight the raid? Feng had already put on the mask of pain. Isn't this what you said yourself, first come first served? Stark shrugged, bite the bullet, how can you give up the mission? It doesn't matter to Stark, the only thing of value on him is the pistol. Hang up, the equipment exploded, just buy it back. That's the only way to go, I thought there was a boss coming, so it's settled. Unexpectedly, there is only one Master T. Quote, and Feng shook his head, returned to his safe house and began to store some valuables. He is not as rich as Stark in Star City. If the equipment is out of stock, he will buy it back directly. A team of 30 plus 1 people is ready to set off. Zhou Zequan was the first to arrive at the gate of the community. With his movement speed as high as 50 points, he deliberately slowed down his pace, and he was still at the forefront of the team. Just as he was about to head towards the Sheila University Town subway station, he noticed that the players behind him all stopped. These guys don't really want to give up the mission, do they? Zhou Zequan heard the comments among the players and knew that their lineup configuration was not good. Don't worry, the car will be here soon. Stark waved at him. Car, Zhou Zequan was obviously taken aback. According to the coordinates sent by other players, this place is 12 kilometers away from Sheila University City Station. You don't want to walk there, do you? Stark smiled. Stark just finished speaking. Not far away, there was the sound of an engine, whang. 2 players drove 2 off-road vehicles over. Zhou Zequan. After staying in the apocalypse for so long, Zhou Zequan also tried to drive the abandoned vehicles on the street. Even if the key is inserted in it, 10 out of 10 cars will not start, 100% scrap rate. How did these players do it? The door opened, and a skinny little brother got out of the car. The skinny brother threw 2 car keys to Star City Stark. Old she, this is also for our relationship. If it is someone else, I must pay more. Star City Stark said with a smile. No way, isn't it easy for you to repair 2 off-road vehicles? You are an expert in this area. I'm a hammer expert. In the previous games, I could play with cars at will with a little understanding of car principles. But this broken game, what the hell, the level of realism is as accurate as a screw. Quote, I found a master from the auto repair shop to join the game with me, and it took me a whole morning to get the 2 cars running. Star City Stark looked at the driver of the car behind, looking confused, as if he didn't figure out whether this was reality or a game. No need to guess, this must be the old master of the auto repair shop that the lean brother is referring to. Master, please leave a call. We will have many opportunities to cooperate in the future. Stark stepped forward and warmly shook hands with the old master. For such a 100% realistic game, masters with skills in reality are worth wooing. The rest of the players reacted extremely quickly. After communicating with Stark in Star City, they all rushed forward to ask for contact information. In the future, in the last days, you can directly ask the master to repair the car, saving the middleman and earning the difference. The only person in the audience who was confused was the skinny brother. His business seems to have been ruined by himself. Star City Stark walked up to the lean brother and patted him on the shoulder. If I were you, I'd already contact all the car mechanics I know to open a car dealership in the game, and I'm still standing here stupidly. The skinny guy, old she, I won't be hypocritical with you, these 2 cars will be given to you for free. After the thin brother finished speaking, he took the old master to go offline together. It is estimated that it won't be long before True Doomsday will have an additional studio with an average age. You guys, who wants to drive? Stark held 2 strings of car keys in his hand. Let me. Give it to me, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Several players volunteered. There are no traffic rules in the last days, and they all want to have a good time racing. Old she, you seem to have overlooked a question. And Feng took a deep breath and asked, how can 2 off-road vehicles accommodate 31 of us? There are not many players who can repair cars now, and it is not easy to get these 2. Star City Stark smacked his mouth and thought. How many people can sit on the roof of the car? Those with high strength attribute can pick on the door. If you squeeze in the car, there will always be room. Quote, this way of riding, curry people call them experts. And Feng couldn't help but play tricks. It took more than 10 minutes, and the 31 people were finally stuffed into 2 off-road vehicles in a way of fighting each other. The engine started, and there was noise in the car. Whose ass on the front windshield belongs to? Move it. I can't see the road clearly. Geo. Who's Geo? Don't put Geo in my mouth. Can you put away the one with the sword? I'm 1 centimeter away and my second brother is going to say goodbye to me. Quote. Quote. Two off-road vehicles, carrying number 31 people, staggered towards the Sheila University City subway station. The 12-kilometer journey took nearly an hour to drive. Confirmed to reach the destination, number 31 person poured down from two off-road vehicles. Star City Stark stood up and patted the dust on his body, and said to himself, "If I'm still alive after finishing this raid, I must drive back by myself. Get up, stand in line. There are a lot of zombies approaching." And Feng took out an iron sword and shouted. Two off-road vehicles driving at a slow speed pulled a long string of tails along the way. Looking around, it was pitch black. There are 500 of these zombies, if not 1,000. Call out, call out, call out. 21 archers began to shoot arrows non-stop. The E-class zombies in the front row quickly fell to the ground. "Don't waste the arrows, these are not our goals." And Feng stopped the archers. In the face of these E-level zombies, melee occupations can cover and retreat to the subway station. "The entrance is here." Saiki-suke found the entrance of the subway and greeted him loudly. A group of people hurried down the stairs. When we got to the entrance of the subway, we found that the rolling gate was closed. The few melee professionals in the front row began to use brute force to roll up the gate, but the gate did not move at all. "It's locked. It can't be opened directly by manpower." And Feng frowned. "That string of tails on the street is coming soon." E-level zombies are indeed very weak, but if hundreds of zombies block the entrance of the subway, it's a completely different situation. "You guys just like to complicate simple things." Joe Zekwon stepped out from the crowd. With a wave of two polished long swords, a big hole was easily cut in the rolling door. "Players, no, there is a problem with this NPC's weapon." One player with a sword immediately realized something was wrong. It's not that he didn't think of using a sword to hack open the rolling door. It is he who knows that the iron sword in his hand can't do it at all. And Joe Zekwon cut the rolling door open like tofu slices without much effort. There is only one possibility. These two swords are very OP. At least, it is also a high-level rare equipment. Joe Zekwon entered the subway station directly after cutting a hole in the rolling shutter door. The players behind followed in succession. Just when all the players regrouped and relaxed a little, a player fell to the ground and twitched non-stop. Seeing the hint in his mind, Joe Zekwon couldn't help shaking his head. He walked up to the player, and with a thrust of the long sword, it pierced straight into the heart. "Didn't more than a dozen people enjoy electrotherapy in the morning, why are there still people dying?" And Feng leaned down and touched the player who was stabbed to death by Joe Zekwon's sword. "I'm not tempted by those two swords." Star City Stark saw the reason at a glance. "No, these guys don't understand the game yet." And Feng shook his head and said, "Can't they see that the NPC set in this game is to reduce the difficulty of the game for us? If there are no mission rewards from NPCs, no medicines purchased from NPCs, and only relying on the materials found, how many of you can continue to play?" Brother Xuanwo in the corner silently raised his hand. "Put your hands down. You belong to the game. The more abuse you get, the more excited you are. I believe, except Brother Xuanwo, no one really wants to stay in this end of the world forever. It's also fortunate that this game has a mechanism to protect NPCs. Otherwise, some players would have killed NPCs with one knife, and our group of players would have started the game directly." And Feng took a deep breath, and continued, "To be honest, I'm also greedy for NPC equipment just like you. But I know that trying to kill him now will definitely do more harm than good. So, can you guys use your brains and stop doing stupid things for a while?" Quote. "Then, with the NPC protection mechanism, how can we kill the NPC?" Some players couldn't help asking. "You can't do it yourself, you won't pull monsters." Before Feng could speak, a player next to the question blurted out. "Joe Zekwon, study how to kill me in front of me." Too much. Another two swords were drawn, and there were still 27 people left in the 30-man team. "Shut up. Please finish the raid before you commit such a deadly act." And Feng sighed deeply. "I just feel so tired." The 27 people plus Joe Zekwon readjusted their formation and went deep to the subway station. Everything before, as if nothing happened. After passing the ticket gate, a group of people met them. Pigeon spirit, why are you here? And Feng wondered. I still want to ask how you got down. Pigeon became spirited and scratched its neck. I remember that all the rolling gates of the entrances have been locked. It's enough to break the door violently. Star City Stark interjected. You are here, do you want to gain a wave of experience? Old she, do you still have the nerve to say that we're looting experience? The pigeon became fine and said angrily. We share the coordinates of the night demon, and let you share a share. As a result, the task was triggered, so don't take us. You are also dark enough. Sooner or later, I will go to Star City to find your real person PK. Quote. Don't find the wrong person, it's not my fault. Stark pointed to Enfeng next to him. Someone thought it was troublesome and didn't want to wait too long, so he sent the mission message directly to the group, and there was a wave of first come, first served. Then, we formed an underworld lineup to play the raid. Cough. So what's the situation in the Night Devil's lair? Enfeng, who knew he was wrong, quickly diverted his attention. Pigeon Chang Jing glanced at Enfeng, paused and said. We had a few players go into the tunnel, and the further you went in, the more nightcrawlers there were. It is estimated that it will take a long distance to get to the Night Devil's lair. Quote. Hearing this, Star City Stark turned his head and glanced at the tunnel. The group is difficult to fight, and there is no way to hide from the night demon's leap in the tunnel, so we can only resist. And the only one we can take the damage this time is a buckwheat bun. No way, there is only one tea in your team of 30 people. The pigeon was dumbfounded. Cough. It doesn't matter if the task is completed or not. Enfeng waved his hand and said, this time we come here, if we can gain experience, it will be considered a success. Get ready, get ready. Enfeng looked at his teammates and urged. Everyone in the team nodded and began to check their personal status. After confirming that there is no problem with the health value, physical strength value, sand value, equipment durability, etc., he raised his hand to report. Soon, 27+1 people jumped down the tunnel. What about you? Stark looked at the pigeon and asked, aren't we together? We just want to gain experience, of course we have to wait for you to kill a wave before entering. The pigeon became a master, clapped his hands and said, by the way, if you lose important equipment after you die, remember to tell me, I still want to earn some extra money. Stark pointed at the pigeon spirit. You are a bad guy, If I really die, help me keep an eye on my pistol. Keshin, aren't these people from your group? How do you feel? Prodigals Away whispered beside him. It feels a little bit of mutual cheating, doesn't it? Star City Stark responded with a smile. There are 233 players in the group. Although they all have friends, there are only a few who really have a good relationship. We play games and cheat each other every day. And this way, isn't it more interesting? Star City Stark raised his chin and signaled, let's go, book now. Entering the tunnel, the light gradually dimmed. All the players couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. No UV exposure, which means they will soon encounter night monsters. Manto stood in the front row with melee, and the shooters scattered. Even if you are attacked, don't die like being mowed. Quote. And Feng directed the formation to move forward little by little. Wait a minute, what about the NPC? With luxurious equipment, let him go ahead. A player suggested. Yes, you can let NPC act as T to take damage. The players started looking around for Zhou Zechuan's location. A shooter looked at the IDs one by one. It turned out that Zhou Zechuan was standing beside him holding a crossbow. When did this guy sneak in? Isn't he in the front row with swords? Good guy, the shooter position is +1 again. Brother Chuan, with 2 swords, why don't you go ahead and kill the night demon? Some players couldn't help asking. I'm more proficient with crossbows. Zhou Zechuan replied very calmly. He didn't lie either, it was the first time he used the sword. Crossbow LV7, sword only LV1. This NPC has melee and long-range dual cultivation. Prodigals Away discovered the blind spot, then can I also practice firearms? Hit and hit, take out a pistol and shoot. Some guy who likes to make the devil cry in May has achieved the play you said. Shi Yifu said, you can even practice the shield together. Brother Suozi, who is equipped with meat and guns, has a lot of meat and does high damage at the same time. Quote. The premise is that you have to prepare a few more livers for yourself. The prodigal's away shook his head again and again when he thought of the memory of spending the morning in the pile of zombies in order to practice the knife to level 10. Forget it, don't move your liver. Zhou Zechuan's weapon has been repaired more, which caused a frenzy of discussion among players. What kind of weapon should you choose for leveling, so that the character has the most powerful combat power? Players have their own understandings, and they are arguing endlessly for a while. It's like playing a horror game and suddenly playing, "Good Luck," as the BGM. The tense atmosphere immediately eased a lot. What about you? Are you going to practice firearms? And Feng asked Stark in his voice. I don't know what skills the weapon has now, so what's the point of studying BD? Star City Stark took a deep breath and said, accumulate resources and equipment first, character strength is not important for now. As expected of you, a sensible person. And Feng smiled, I only hold the sword now because the attributes are balanced, and there is no particularly weak item. What kind of weapon to use, you will have a clue when you get the first skill book. Get the skill book, we have to play this group book too. Forehead. And Feng became embarrassed again when he heard this. Fortunately, this embarrassing time did not last too long. With the light of the flashlight, 2 night devils appeared in their field of vision. Seeing this, and Feng immediately yelled, go up the steamed buns to attract hatred, shooters get ready. Buckwheat Manto nodded, walked out of the team holding the shield, and moved forward 5 meters. After observing one of the night devils swaying forward with a leap, he rushed forward. Shield bash. Without the skill effect of the online game template, Buckwheat Manto, relying on his previous experience, smashed the night devil with a shield. Not only was the night demon's attack interrupted, but he also fell into a short trance. The other night devil didn't use the leap attack, but directly ran up to the buckwheat steamed bun and gave him a paw. Gee! A sharp cutting sound resounded on the shield, and sparks flew everywhere. Hatred, fast output, I can't resist for long. Buckwheat Manto took a look at his shield, and Emo's claw dropped a third of its durability. If he doesn't solve it quickly, he will have to use his life to fight hard. Shish! The shooters in the rear fired a volley. -13, -111, -135, -11, ... Of the 22 arrows, 13 hit the jaw of the leader of the night demon. A total of 1730 damage was caused. If the hands of several players did not shake, the night demon would be shot down in seconds by a round of volleys. Fortunately, this is a 100% realistic game. The night demon suffered such severe injuries, even though the blood bar still showed hundreds of points of HP remaining, it was lying on the ground unable to move. Nice. Wait for me to resist another wave of damage, and you will kill the remaining night demon in seconds. Buckwheat Manto communicated loudly. The archers drew new arrows and prepared to string them. The rest of the melee players stepped forward to make up the knife, and made up for the death of the night demon who shot into a hedgehog. The output of our lineup is really good. And Feng said in the team's voice while making up the night demon, just pull a small amount of night demon, and then focus on the fire for a second, we really may pass this raid. All I can say is that the ideas are good. But you have to give them a chance. Star City Stark held up a bright flashlight and shot towards the far point. There, several tall figures quickly approached. 1. 2, 5. 10, 12. 12 more night demons. What the hell, did we poke the night goblin den? Didn't we come to poke the night devil's nest? Yes, not exactly. Doesn't it mean that getting experience is considered a success? We're here to gain experience, but we're also here to poke the night devil's nest. You, put this here and this. The player started talking nonsense, enough to see the deterrent power of the 12 night devils. 1 or 2 2-meter-tall monsters in front of your eyes is completely different from a dozen 2-meter-high monsters in front of you. Even these post-apocalyptic high-end players who have experienced a lot of horror are a little panicked at the moment. Shoot at will, if you can get a little more experience, just get more. Seeing the 12 night demons rushing towards them, and Feng had already given up commanding. Buckwheat steamed buns plus 6 melee occupations, it is estimated that they will not be able to withstand the first wave of these night monsters. Also directed, command a Jill. Sure enough, the moment he came into contact with the night devils, the buckwheat steamed buns were directly slapped by several night devils and flew to the ground. The shield shattered, leaving only a small piece in his hand. Even with his 290 HP, there is only a trace of blood left. The game character was lying on the ground, basically only breathing out but not breathing in. You don't need to restore the props, you can restore the resurrection point immediately. The Lord is down, some players shouted with tears. The remaining melees are also broken at the touch of a touch. Even if they are great players, they have no chance to operate when encountering so many night monsters in this terrain. Lie down in the front row. A bunch of shooters in the back row were trembling. Joe Zekwan took a deep breath and put away his crossbow. The 4-character mantra came to mind. Open black lens bracket collapse. Withdraw, sell, slip, close black lens bracket. And just as he was about to slip out of the team, a night demon passed over his head, blocking their way back. Obviously, these night devils intend to kill them all. In this case, I can only do my best. Holding both swords in his hands, Joe Zekwan rushed towards the broken night demon at full speed. The distance of more than 10 meters arrived in an instant. What is the movement speed of this NPC? Run as fast as the night goblin. Don't guess too much, this NPC is linked. The player who noticed Joe Zekwan was surprised. The display of the movement speed made the players exclaim. The next thing Joe Zekwan did to Night Demon directly left the players' shocked heads blank. Joe Zekwan came in front of the Night Devil, and swung his sword at the Night Devil's sharp claws. There was a bang. There was the sound of something heavy falling to the ground. It's the whole right arm of this Night Devil. It only takes 636 points of damage to cut off an arm. Joe Zekwan was not very satisfied. It takes several swings of swords to kill a night demon, and you still have to click on the weak point. Because of the severe pain of his arm being cut, the night demon stopped in place and was in a stiff state. Joe Zekwan seized the opportunity, jumped high, and gave the night monster a New Year greeting sword. From the head, jaw, directly to the crotch. One sword cut the night monster in half. Joe Zekwan didn't even bother to look at the damage he caused and the blood bar of the night demon. If it's not dead yet, it's not him, but this night devil who opened the door. Dealing with the night demon who lost his way back, Joe Zekwan was planning to continue running. Unexpectedly, the other 12 night devils did not care about the other players, and all flew to him. The night demon saw which of these humans was the most threatening. They also want to come to a wave of fire, and kill Joe Zekwan in seconds. Don't kill you, don't let me go, right? Joe Zekwan made a black question mark face directly. In this case, let's do it to the end. Joe Zechuan's heart skipped a beat. In the worst case, after using the Ankh of Rebirth, you can continue to hang around in the residential building. The war is imminent. Suddenly, a pistol with a silencer rang out. Bew, 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 bew. Stark fired 7 bullets and successfully shot and killed a night devil. There are 11 pigs left. I tried my best, and I can only paddle next. The Starks of Star City put away their pistols, ready to lie down and die. The rest of the shooters were not idle. They tried their best to help Joe Zekwan make up for the damage, and at the same time divert the night demon's attention. After they saw the NPC so fierce, a glimmer of hope ignited in their hearts. Helping NPC attract firepower may be the only possibility to get through this dungeon. Of the 11 night devils, 3 of them were successfully attracted by the shooters. Joe Zekwan also had to face 8 night demons. 1-1, 1-2. Joe Zekwan can definitely win easily. But if it exceeds 2 ends, Joe Zekwan will worry about whether he will be hit. Enough damage. The next step is to see if these pieces of defensive equipment can withstand it. Joe Zekwan gritted his teeth and rushed to the nearest night demon to use the New Year greeting sword technique. Slash directly from the head to the jaw, killing it instantly. After killing the 2 ends in this way, he was caught by other night demons. The sharp claw swung down and slashed his head hard. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.